Let's make an adventure-themed cake topper with your Cricut machine. Hey friends, I'm Tara from CraftTaraCreates.com, and today I have an Adventures Awaits cake topper to share with you. This cake topper would make the perfect special touch to celebrations like a graduation or an adventure-themed baby shower, and also everyday moments like a farewell party or to mark the start of a new career. Download the free cut file design at the link in the description. You will also find a link to the written instructions along with links to the materials I used. To make this project, you will need a Cricut machine. This project works best on the full-size machines, either the Cricut Explorer or the Cricut Maker model machines. I will be using a Cricut Maker 3. As this project is a Cricut project, you will need Cricut machine mats. I'm using blue light grip mats for this project. And of course, cardstock. This project takes 6 colors of cardstock: brown, green, blue, white, yellow, and gray. Also, I am using double-sided adhesive foam strips and tabs to give the cake topper dimension. Adding foam in between layers creates subtle shadows and has a 3D effect for paper crafts. This layered paper craft will need glue, so grab your favorite paper crafting glue. A glue bottle with a precision tip will be really helpful for this project. For the cake topper stick, I'm using a clear acrylic cake pop stick because the stick hides well behind the cake topper. A brayer to make sure the cardstock is well secured to the mat, and a Cricut spatula to help remove cardstock from the mat. A hot glue gun to add the stick to the back of the finished cake topper. A glue gun with a precision tip is really helpful, but you can use any type of glue gun you have. Alright, once you have all the tools and materials ready, we can move on and get this project set up in Cricut Design Space. See you in the next section. Open Cricut Design Space and click on New Project. This workshop includes a SVG cut file that you can upload for this project. Click on the Upload button on the left side of the screen. Then click on Upload Image button toward the middle of the screen. You can either drag and drop the file here, or you can click the Browse button to navigate to the file on your computer. I have the zip file here, which is the download with the cut file. Go ahead and download this if you haven't already. Double-click on the zip file to open up the contents of the zip file. You can see the SVG for the cake topper project is here. You can also see the license that comes with this cut file. You're looking for the SVG to upload into Cricut Design Space. So select the file and drag it into the window. You can tell that it's there because it turns slightly green. Then let go of your mouse, and there's your cut file. Go ahead and click the Upload button on the right side at the bottom. Now we have to select our cut file we want to add to the canvas. You can tell it's selected by the green box around it. And then click Add to Canvas. Alright, great. We have our cut file here. There's not much need to do for this, but you want to double check the size so that it fits the type of cake that you're using. Right now it's a little over 6.5 inches wide and 8 inches tall, and that works well for me. You can see all the different layers on the layers panel here. If you click on the Color Sync menu, you can see all the different colors of cardstock that you need. You need 6 different colors. Here's a good place for you to go and pause and select the different type of cardstock that you need for this project. If you want, you can even change the words Adventure Awaits, and you can add other words if you'd like. When you're ready, click on Make It to send the project to your Cricut machine. The Cricut machine will arrange all the cuts by the color on each mat. But I'm using a material size of US letter, so 8.5 by 11. So I'm going to change my material size to letter. And you can see here that Cricut automatically made 2 different pages for white because it says this one won't fit on the first page. However, I think we can make it fit. So I'm going to click on it and then I'm going to say Move Object. Then I'm going to select the first page with all the other cuts. And you can see here that Cricut went ahead and moved the cut file shape and put it on the other page. But I'm going to now arrange it and see if I can get everything to fit on one page. And it looks like it works just fine. So now I have all the pieces for the color white, all the shapes, on one page. So I'll save a little bit of paper here and one less cut. Don't worry about this extra blank page, it will go away in the next screen. I'm going to go ahead and change the material size to letter for each of the mats because that's the type of cardstock that I'm using. If you have 12 by 12, you don't necessarily need to do this. Just make sure your cuts are covered by the cardstock that you have on the mat. For me, this is a quick way to rearrange all the cuts so that they fit the way I can orient the cardstock on the mat, which it will be vertical. One more to change to letter. All right, all of them are changed to the type of material size I'm using. And I'm not worried about the second white sheet. It's going to go away in the next screen. So click Continue to move on. You can already tell that the second white page has disappeared. So you just have 6 different colors of cardstock. And if you hover your mouse over it, you can see the shapes that will be cut on each page. Normally, I just use the medium cardstock setting for just about all the lightweight cardstock that I'm using. And I will select it here. However, I want to show you all how to cut the words out with cardstock. As you can see here, the words Adventure Awaits are on the brown cardstock color. And those are a little bit more intricate to cut. I'm going to go ahead and show you how I'm going to cut these. So I'll select this color. You can see it's selected here. And next I'm going to, instead of using medium cardstock, I'm going to select Browse All Materials to select a different predefined material setting. Scroll down to cardstock and you see a bunch of predefined material settings. I'm going to use cardstock for intricate cuts. This works really well for things like fonts or text that you're cutting out of cardstock. Go ahead and select that one. It'll have that green little check mark next to it when it's selected, and then click Done. Once you select the material setting, your Cricut machine is ready to get started. So gather up all the cardstock that you need, and I'll see you in the next section. All right, go ahead and add brown cardstock or whatever the first color is that you are using to your machine mat. Here I'm going to use the brayer to make sure that the cardstock is well secured to the mat. Load the mat into your Cricut machine and then click the flashing button to load it into the Cricut machine. Cricut will go ahead and pull in the mat and measure it to make sure it's what the Cricut machine is expecting. The button will flash again, so click on that. And now the Cricut machine will do a quick check to make sure that the blade that is inserted to machine is what the machine is expecting. This is just the fine point blade that comes with all Cricut machines. Now, if you'll remember, this is the intricate cut for the text. The intricate cut setting actually does 2 cut passes. So this is another reason you want to use the brayer to make sure that the cardstock is well secured to the mat so it doesn't shift on the second cut. If you have another light grip mat handy, go ahead and load the next color that your Cricut machine is going to cut. You can just have this ready so that when the first cut is finished, you can quickly load in the second color. Once the cut is finished, go ahead and click the flashing unload button on your Cricut machine, and then load in the next color based on the Cricut Design Space prompts, because it will show you what color is coming up next. Click the load button again to load in the mat. The Cricut machine will complete the same process again of measuring the mat and checking the blade to make sure it's exactly what the Cricut machine is expecting. To unload the mat, turn over the mat upside down and use your spatula to push down the shapes that were cut from your Cricut machine. Here you can see I'm pushing down all the cardstock pieces with the spatula. This keeps them nice and flat. And if there's spare cardstock that you could reuse again, this will keep that cardstock flat. The adventure awaits words are still stuck to the mat. Turn the mat back over, curl it up a little bit, and very gently peel the pieces of the adventure awaits text off the mat. Take your time here, go really slowly so that you don't accidentally rip the text or the cardstock. Alternatively, if you don't want to use cardstock, which is a little bit more difficult to work with for intricate things, you could actually use vinyl here and just put vinyl on top of paper. You can either use iron-on vinyl or adhesive vinyl, which is much easier to cut intricate designs with. So that's an alternative. If this doesn't work for you, if the cardstock is not cutting well and you're having a problem, cut the words with vinyl instead. For layered paper crafts, it's a lot easier to have a little tray or a bowl or something to throw all the little pieces in so you don't lose them. Also, you can see I'm using a weeding tool here because I'm pushing out any of the little pieces that might still be stuck inside of the text. Set aside your little tray and you can keep adding all the pieces as they get cut. This is the extra large scraper and I use this to push off all the little cardstock bits that are left over on the mat without actually damaging the mat. Then you can just scrape those pieces into a trash can. I went ahead and jumped forward a bit because I didn't want to show you all the repetitive cardstock cuts, but we are on the last color, which is blue. For these larger pieces, I'm just going to kind of fold the mat and pull these off. Then I'll use the scraper again to grab the little pieces. All right, unload the mat for the last time because this is our last color. And complete the same process again of pulling the mat upside down and pulling it backwards and pushing down on the cardstock to keep it nice and flat. Okay, gather up all the pieces you have and I will see you in the next section to assemble this cake topper. All right, now we have all the pieces cut. Go ahead and assemble your cake topper so that you make sure that you have everything you need and that you like the color combinations together. So I'm going to take apart this project so I can find the base layer, which is brown. Here's the banner, the airplane, and the world globe. I'm going to start with the blue color and I'm going to glue the white directly on top of the blue. So I'm going to combine the blue, white, and green first, and then I'm going to add it to the base layer, the brown layer. Use the edges to line up all these layers. You can use whatever paper crafting glue that you prefer. Next, I'm going to turn over the green color, which depicts the land masses on the planet Earth, and I'm going to add glue to the back. You can see with all these little pieces, the little thin precision tip really helps. And again, use all the different shapes around the edges to help guide you for the placement. All right, once you have that combined, now I'm going to use adhesive foam to add some dimension to this cake topper and make it look like the world part of it is kind of jumping off of the globe. So now I'm going to pick up my adhesive foam strips and add a bunch of strips to the back so that it has a good structure. These scissors are called non-stick scissors, so they don't get gunked up by any of the adhesive. I generally add adhesive foam around the edges and then a little bit in the center. Go ahead and push down on all the adhesive foam. The more secure it is, the easier it is to pull off the backing sheets. Peel off the backing sheets to expose the actual adhesive. I just use my fingernails to pull off the backing, but you can use a weeding tool or whatever works for you. All right, now we're ready to adhere the world to the globe base layer. And again, use the shapes around the edges to guide where the placement is. All right, now we can move on to the airplane. So I'm going to assemble the airplane with glue between the two layers. This is a light gray layer, and I'm going to add glue on the back of it and then glue it to the blue layer. These tweezers that I'm using are reversible tweezers. They help me hold small cardstock pieces without fumbling around with the pieces in my fingers. They're just a really good way to control the little pieces. So for the little white strip that the airplane is on, I'm going to add another layer of adhesive foam. I guess it's like a wind gust, if you will. Let's go ahead and add a strip of adhesive foam, and then we'll place that on top of the rest of the cake topper. Again, you can use the shapes on either side to help guide where the placement of this is. For the airplane, I'm also going to add adhesive foam to that as well, so it looks like the airplane is kind of popping off the page and is a little bit more three-dimensional. Go ahead and add some strips of adhesive foam. And place the airplane in its spot on the cake topper. There we go. Now we can assemble the banner section of the cake topper. That is all we have left. So the first thing to do if you cut out the words in cardstock is to glue it to the offset layer. Use your glue with precision tip to add just a little bit of glue to the back of the letters. Another reason to have glue with precision tip is for something like this where it's very thin. Then position the word over top of the offset, and I'm going letter by letter and just before I'm pushing it down to the paper and arranging it so that it lines up well with the offset layer. I'll repeat the same process here with the letter A. And again, I'm using these reverse tweezers. They are so helpful for holding these little thin pieces of cardstock. It really helps with the control. And there we go. We can repeat the same process with the word awaits. The one advantage of using the script font for this text is that most of the letters are connected, so you don't have a bunch of little letters all over the place that you have to apply one at a time. Next up, we will assemble the banner. The banner comes in a few pieces, but that helps to create dimension. First thing I'm going to do is glue on the yellow layer to the white layer. The white layer is a very small offset, so it will go up above and outside of the banner. Now this is the bottom piece of the banner, and I am going to add adhesive foam. So it looks like this part of the banner is more forward than the center section. So it really looks like the banner is folding in on itself. Go ahead and place the bottom piece to the banner. And I'm going to repeat the same exact process with the top pieces of the banner as well, adding adhesive foam to the back. And then place the top piece on the banner as well. And you can already see the shadows that are created just by having the adhesive foam in between the layers. Next, I'm going to add the text, the words adventure awaits, and I'm going to add that with some more adhesive foam. For this one, I'm grabbing some of the tabs that I have, some of the little squares, and I'm using those adhesive foams. The back of the offset is still pretty thin here. So for this one, I actually don't have a lot of space, and I'm going to grab a Cricut True Control knife, which is pretty much an X-Acto knife. Here I'm going to trim a little tab in half, so it's half the width, so that I can place that on top, on the back of the offset for the text. Alternatively, you could just cut a really small piece of adhesive foam strips and probably achieve the exact same thing. All right, make sure those tabs are well adhered to your cardstock. And now we're going to peel off the backing and place them on the banner. It's so much fun to add dimension to cake toppers. It's really what brings cake toppers to life. All the adhesive foam that you add. Awesome. Now the banner is ready to go, and it goes right here on your cake topper. I'm going to go ahead and add another layer of adhesive foam to the banner and add a bunch of strips to the back of this before I add it to the cake topper. Looks like I'm going to need 2 strips for this one. Use the side shapes to help you place where the banner goes on the cake topper. And here we go. We have our finished cake topper all assembled, all the layered shapes put together. Last thing we need to do is use our hot glue gun to add the clear acrylic cake pop stick. Apply a thin line of hot glue on the back of the cake topper and roll the cake pop stick right in place. The cake pop stick kind of hides behind the base of the globe part of the cake topper. And there you go. Your project is all ready to go. Look at all the dimension we added to this project. I really hope you enjoyed this one. I had a lot of fun making this with you today.